of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Brenda. And Marcia, would you like to do an invitation? Seeing as how you did such a wonderful job last night. Amen. Thank you very much. No, he's not off the hook yet. I'm just trying to give him a little bit of a break.
And we're trying to get out at once.
Oh, it's like watching in the delay. Right after it. Please take the hearing aid down.
I'm trying to find you.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Glad to see everybody here in the room and everybody on Zoom. I don't see any guests today. Correct. Well, we will get to that in a bit. So to start off, I wanted to see if Tracy wanted to share just for a moment the event this past weekend, that birthday cleanup and meal packing.
So we had at birthday 17 volunteers. We did 55 bags of mulch and over 60 bags of debris. I have pictures up here what it looks like, but I can't do the upload to go through. So if you're out and about at the end of Dearborn, stop by the Veterans Memorial and look at all the work we did. We really focused just on the around the Blue Star Memorial, and then as we do our cleanups, we will be doing them more, and hopefully before cleanup, we'll have the whole park cleaned up. So these are some of the Navy recruiter guys. They were great. They kind of organized everybody, and we got together and did it all in 2 hours.
I know.
And then Mike Douglas also showed up, their crew, and I was not expecting as many people from the public as well, so they had to do a couple trips back and forth to Gabe's, and so I sent out thank you cards to everybody already. We do have an article that's going to be published in the Inglewood Review, and hopefully in the Tribune and Sun. One of the girls here, she's sitting down on the front row. She's actually a writer for the newspaper. She wrote a nice little article, and I just posted it on our webpage. And then also we had a food packing down at the Midwestern Food Bank, and what it was we did Velveeta crackers, and they come in these big 6-foot by 6-foot boxes. You can see there in the center section of the above, and we had to take them out of that box and then put them into individual boxes, and we did a full pallet in 2 hours. So, and this food will be distributed throughout our area together.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So announcements for this month. May 1st are Youth Services Month. So we'll have a little bit going on with youth services. But to kick off the month, we'll have the Great American Cleanup on May 1st. On the 4th, our meeting will have Teresa Bailey from Library High School coming in to talk to us about what's going on over there. On the 11th, we will have the club assembly and Tracy's strategic plan for the 2021-22 year. Also, just make a note, a mental note, there'll be information coming to you, but there will be a location change for that date. And also for the end of the month on the 25th. On the 18th, we're going to have Mission 22 come in and talk about some of our veterans programs and what they're doing to help our veterans. Also, the 18th, we would normally have a board meeting. We are not having a board meeting because we are having the assembly on the 11th. General announcements, May 21st is the night of 1,000 Paul Harris Fellows. If you have not signed up, please do go sign up. It should be a really unique event. And you can do that through DACD and the district site. Save the dates. June 19th is our 63rd annual awards and installation banquet.
Hello?
We'll have
Willis. This one works out here, that doesn't probably work.
I hope it doesn't work. Anyways, but there'll be information, Tracy will have some information coming soon on that as well. And also just kind of put it on your calendars, July 9th, 10th, and 11th is the District 6960 conference, and it will be in Punta Gorda. So if you're interested in attending that, mark it on your calendar.
Registration's not open yet for that.
Yeah, that's just the basic, get it on your calendar so you know when to start looking for it. So we had a club anniversary, Christina Watt, 8 years of service on 5/1. Thank you, thank you. And we also have a wedding anniversary of the Nadlers. And Jacqueline Nadler is celebrating an anniversary on the 30th. So he's out and about. At this time, I'd like to ask Karen to come up. We have a Paul Harris presentation. The presentation of the Paul Harris Fellow represents one of the highest honors in Rotary. It is named for our founder, Paul Harris, a Chicago lawyer who started Rotary with 3 business associates in 1905. Rotarian members earn this recognition through contributions of $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation. A gift to the Rotary Foundation is a commitment to peace and to a better life for the people the giver may never meet. This is truly a selfless action. It is because of such gifts that the Rotary Foundation is able to carry out an array of programs that achieve beneficial changes in our world. Improved living conditions, potable water, increased food production, better education, treatment for the sick, shelter, improved international understanding, greater hopes for peace, and of course, the eradication of polio. At this time, I would like to ask all club members who are Paul Harris Fellows, please stand to be recognized, and those on Zoom, please wait. And now I would ask that Tracy Hamill come forward. It gives me great pleasure to present Tracy with her Paul Harris Fund 5 pins today. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate Tracy on this significant distinction. As I previously mentioned, each $1,000 contribution to the Rotary Foundation awards the donor with the Paul Harris Fellow. Once a member has reached a donation level of $10,000, they become a major donor. Today, I am honored to announce that Blade and Castellano have achieved major donor status with their contribution to the Rotary Foundation. Unfortunately, Cassie is unable to be with us today, but I would like to ask Blade to come forward to accept this outstanding recognition. Please stand and help me congratulate Blade. So we need to carry systems that are like all air, like 5 or 6. I'm gonna put that on my new daily app. Must be Paul Harris electrified. Appreciate it. Absolutely, that's wonderful. And we have, what, 2 other, so Valerie Wagner is a major donor, but, that's the only one now. Well, yeah, that's right. Well, that's awesome. Great, great, great. All right. Janet, would you like to come in and introduce our speaker for us today? Hello. Hello. Y'all know him and love him because the badging. Fire Chief Kevin C. Easton has served the emergency service community since 1983. Chief Easton has also served as a fire chief, served as an assistant fire chief of administrative operations and division chief of training. He's worked for several emergency service agencies, including Sarasota County Fire Department. Chief Easton earned the Distinguished Chief Fire Officer, CFO, much easier to say, designation by the Center for Public Safety Excellence. Chief Easton graduated magna cum laude with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Fire Science Administration, holds an associate degree in Fire Science Technology, and has an associate's degree in Paramedic Science. Chief Easton holds many credentials in the emergency service field, as well as a designation of Certified District Manager from the Florida Association of Special Districts. Chief Easton spent several years as an instructor for the Suncoast Technical College, teaching a variety of fire science and emergency medical courses. Chief Easton has received national award for research conducted to improve the fire and EMS services. He's also presented at national fire service venues and has been published in several trade journals. So we get autographs. Chief Easton's career has been strongly focused on fire training, departmental training, program management, and building training and leadership platforms for several fire agencies. Let's welcome Chief Easton.
Sounded right. Sounded good, didn't it?
Yeah, great.
Made it all up. Well, thank you for having me here. It's an honor to speak to you. Basically, I love doing these things because I like to talk to, especially whenever I have a group of people from the community, and I like to talk about the fire department because there's a lot you probably don't know about your local fire department. So the way I want to do this is I'm going to just talk about the fire department a little bit, and then I like to do a question and answer period because I always learn a lot from the questions too. It always amazes me some of the questions. I was actually doing this very similar presentation to the Lemon Bay Rotary months ago, and I asked him about questions, and I had a gentleman raise his hand in the back of the room, and he said, would you consider coming back and taking Palm Island over again? And I was like, oh, good Lord, I can't believe he just asked me that in front of a bunch of people. And I said, I'll talk to you after we get done here. But so I just want to talk. I got some speaking points that I talk about the fire department, and then I can talk a little bit about my career. Obviously, Janet just highlighted most of it, but I actually started out working. Well, I started off in Illinois, and I worked for a private ambulance service before I was even out of high school. I worked my first cardiac arrest, delivered my first baby when I was 16 years old. So, and so it went from there. I was hooked. There was no turning back after that. And I came down here, and
you may remember, they actually took over the Englewood area from the Englewood Ambulance District years ago. Englewood had its own ambulance. And no, you didn't. The cardiac arrest was a little prominent, but I actually worked out here in Englewood for a long time when I worked for them. We used to have an ambulance station over here next to Buchanan Field. It was just a mobile home that we ran out of next to Buchanan Field. And then I left and got hired by the city of Northport. I worked there for 4 years. before I thought that it would be a good idea to go, just like any young kid, I thought the grass was gonna be greener somewhere else. So I wanted to go work for the big department. So I went to work for Sarasota County and, spent 26 years there, and I don't regret it. But I don't also mind telling you that I was happy when I finally hit that year and I retired. So I retired in 2016, and I had to set out for 1 year because the Florida retirement system requires you to set out for 1 year. And after that year was over, I was looking. I can tell you that retirement thing sounds very appealing until you see the length of the honey-do list. And I quickly realized that I get more rest if I just came back to work at the fire department and staying home and doing that. So I started looking, and I ended up working in DeSoto County for about 1.5 years, which was very enlightening, to say the least. And I'm a big believer, and my wife always says, everything's meant to be, everything happens for a reason. And the guy that was the fire chief here in Englewood and I were both applying for the deputy chief's job in Northport. And Scott got the job and I didn't. And so after I didn't get the job, Chief Gorski, who used to also be a fire chief here in Englewood, called me and said, "You need to apply for that Englewood fire chief's job." I said, "Oh, no, I want nothing to do with being a fire chief." And he said, "You don't understand. It's completely different. It's a special district. You need to try it." And so I did. And I'm not exactly 100% proud of the way things happened because I wasn't even their first choice. But everything happens for a reason, right? And so the gentleman that they offered the position to first, on the day he was supposed to show up to sign his employment agreement, took a job someplace else. And so I was their second choice, but here I am. And it's been an honor. I love talking to people in Englewood, and I love everything that I do in Englewood. I'm a proud member of the Leadership Englewood 2021 class right now, and we're having a great time there. I just recently was put on as a board of director for Englewood Water Fest, and I'm also on the Boys and Girls Club, the Englewood committee for the Boys and Girls Club. So I like doing a lot of stuff with the community. I'm finding that I probably better scale it back a little bit because my plate's getting a little full, but nevertheless, it's been a good role so far. I've been with Englewood since August of 2019, so I'm not quite 2 years yet. I told the board that as long as they'll have me, I'll stay. And I have a great board, great working relationship with them, and so I'm hoping that I can be here for another 6 years at least, so I can hit my second retirement. So let me just talk a little bit about the fire department. So some of you may not know, Englewood Fire Department is a special district that was formed by Florida legislation in 1983. And special districts are created because of either the inability or the lack of willingness by municipalities and counties to cover a special area, such as Englewood. So with Englewood being part of Sarasota and part of Charlotte, there was no coverage from either of those counties to cover Englewood's fire control needs. So the Florida legislature created the district by special legislation in 1983. We are a independent governmental unit known as a special district. And what that means is that we don't benefit from taxes per se. We have a non-ad valorem assessment. And so the difference in that, and I do like to explain this to people, is in counties and the cities, as you're aware, charged by a millage, and it's usually based on property value. Ours is not based on property value, it's a set rate for everything. So somebody that's in a mobile home, unfortunately, pays as much as the person that has a $2 million house on the water. And so it's just a flat rate across the board, except for commercial. And commercial, we do charge by the floor. So we have 6 fire stations. A lot of people don't even realize that. We have 6 stations that cover Englewood. 2 of them are in Sarasota County, 4 of them in Charlotte County. I have 52 line firefighters right now. And we are severely understaffed. The National Fire Protection Association, who sets the standards, says that you should have 4 personnel on every fire truck, and we run with 2. So we're struggling as far as staffing goes all the time. We have a minimum on duty every day of 13, and that includes shift commander. So essentially 2 per fire station, and the shift commander makes it 13, and that's our minimum staff on a daily basis. We average about 4,000 runs a year. About 85 to 90% of those are medical calls. The other percentage, which is very low, are fires. So we run first response on the medical calls. That's why you see the fire engine show up and an ambulance comes in also. Simply because of geographical location, we're positioned to get there quicker most of the time, just because of having 6 stations throughout the community, where they only have 2 in Sarasota and 2 in Charlotte County. So we about 4,000 runs a year, and we are in the process. I'm very happy to report. One of the things that the board charged me with when they hired me was they wanted Englewood Fire Department to become advanced life support, which means that we have paramedics. And so I'm pretty confident that within the next 5 to 6 months, we'll be able to say that we are ALS. I put 4 guys through paramedic school. These 4 guys are struggling to finish it up. They've had so many setbacks because of COVID. They've been in paramedic school for 14 months, and they're not finished yet. But they have to still be credentialed when they come out. And at that point in time, we'll have 6 paramedics on staff, and we will make our first advanced life support engine, which will be engine 71, which is done by the Chamber of Commerce. So it'll have a paramedic on it all the time. So whether or not the 2 Sarasota County ambulances are already committed, or the 2 Charlotte County ambulances are committed, we'll be able to put a paramedic on scene within 3 to 5 minutes. Any call in Englewood, which is a goal. It's a lofty goal. I got 4 more starting paramedic school in June. They won't be complete until July of 2022. So it's a long process for them. That's the basics of the department. We have a shift commander on duty. Our administrative staff's very slim as well. Not slim, but we're very narrow. So it's myself and an assistant chief, and then I have 2 administrative assistants. I have an administrative assistant and a bookkeeper, and that is our administration, and a fire inspector. So we get done a lot with the little resources that we have. Our guys are very proud. I'm very proud to say that you all have a very good fire department. And I'm a little biased, but you do have a very good fire department. These guys are dedicated professionals. They come in every morning at 8 o'clock in the morning and know that they're going to be there for at least 24 hours. And when the bell rings, they're ready to go. And they're very aggressive firefighters, and they'll handle your problems, just about anything you call. So with that, I'd like to start asking some questions. Yes.
Christina wants to know when you're gonna get the front cover of the new calendar.
Yeah, exactly.
Next year, I'm
Or
going to
maybe
be.
all 44 and you in the
Yeah.
middle.
So next year, it's going to be my head on one of the guys' bodies. It's amazing what you can do at Photoshop nowadays, right? Yes.
So with the amount of growth that we're having in Englewood, and you guys are already, how are we handling that?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. So I recently asked the board and got their approval to write what's called a SAFER grant. It's Staffing Adequately Fire and Emergency Services. It's a federal government grant. I wrote for 8 more positions. And basically what it is that the federal government will fund 8 firefighters for us for 3 years. At the end of 3 years, we have to be prepared to take on that responsibility and pay them out of our own budget. I've always been reluctant to do them because I've seen them go bad. A lot of the counties, a lot of the departments in Lee County, like you may remember Estero and Lee Acres and those, they wrote a bunch of SAFER grants and they got to the end of the 3 years and couldn't do it and they had to lay them all off. That's always been something that I was very reluctant to do. However, I'm convinced that we'll be able to absorb it. But it was it's a pretty lofty grant, $2.6 million over 3 years. Put 8 more firefighters on duty, which is going to allow us to increase the staffing on 2 of our units to 3. So we're getting closer to where we need to be. So 2 of the 6 will be at 3 minimum staffing. And if I'm successful with this one, I'm gonna roll in another one next time and just keep going. Yes, ma'am.
So up north, I know they operate, especially in rural areas with a lot of volunteers. Have you considered that, or is that not even an option?
So it used to be volunteer years ago, but it's really not an option here. I mean, it may be an option on the fire side of things, but on the medical side, no. You know, and so the beautiful thing about fire-based EMS is that you already have the infrastructure there. So you would basically be doubling your infrastructure if you try to separate the two. So it just seems to work. Most of those places where they're volunteer have paid ambulance services that then come in and take over the EMS stuff. So, you know, you got double the administrative costs. You got it. So fire-based EMS just makes sense. It is the model that works the best, but it comes to cost. It comes to cost. Yes, ma'am.
Do you cover a certain area in Englewood or wherever, and then who decides when a call comes in, what engine goes?
That is very, very good question, and that's something that it keeps me awake at night every night because I don't know the answer to it. Now, to be honest with you, we do have a defined area. The problem is that working with two different counties, being separated. So if you happen to live in Charlotte County, if you live in the Charlotte County side of Englewood and you call 911, your call goes to Charlotte County 911. And they take all the information and they'll dispatch a police officer to your medical call or a police officer to your vehicle accident before they hang up the phone and then turn around and pick up the phone and call Sarasota 911 to tell them that that they need an ambulance or they need a fire truck somewhere in Charlotte County. And then they have to dispatch our units. I have personally witnessed it taking 7 minutes for that to occur. And so it's something that is on my radar. It's the top priority on my radar right now. And so I am actually working with Charlotte County to try to get them to direct dispatch my units that are in the Charlotte County side. Let Sarasota dispatch on the Sarasota side, Charlotte dispatch on the Charlotte side. That sounds easy in concept, but it becomes very, very problematic to even do that. But that's where we're going so that we can reduce the response time issue. A perfect example of it is we just had a cardiac arrest out at Stumpass Beach or Stumpass Park, which their closest unit was coming from Veterans and Memorial. It was the closest ambulance that they had available to that call. My engine didn't get the call for 9 minutes after the call from 911 because it had to go to Charlotte County and then go to Sarasota County, and even then. So it's just, they actually beat us there when it was all said and done because we didn't get the call. So it's my number one priority right now is to try to correct, and hopefully we'll be able to get that corrected pretty quick.
Who fixes that?
So I'm working with the sheriff, Charlotte Sheriff. So both of the 911 centers are run by the sheriff's department in Sarasota and Charlotte. So it's just always been that Englewood was dispatched by Sarasota County, whether it was a Charlotte call or not. So I'm working with the Charlotte County Sheriff to try to get them to direct dispatch our units. And so they have been receptive to it. They told me that it may come at a cost because their 911 dispatchers are already taxed. And they are. I went and sat there one day just so I could see myself how it was happening, and I felt so sorry for those poor people in there. It was unbelievable. So it's going to get repaired. It's just nothing. It's county government. Nothing happens quick. You know. Yes, ma'am.
Two questions. If you live in Sarasota County,
So it goes straight, your 911 call goes straight to the Sarasota County 911. They direct dispatch our unit. There's no delay.
it's very direct number that people can call the fire department.
No, it's got to be 911. Yeah, it's got to go through 911, unfortunately.
They'll give you a cell phone, but you know.
Yeah.
There might be a little delay.
And everybody knows myself. Yes, sir.
In your experiences in house fires, what are the top ones?
Kitchen fires.
And what can we do as homeowners to help prevent?
You know,
Unattended kitchen fires is the number one cause of fires, without question. Unattended. So what can you do? Put unattended them.
Attend the kitchen.
Attend the kitchen.
Support your local
Yes, I did, we're good.
And have, obvious things, having a fire extinguisher available, those kind of things. No, my guys they hate me for saying that kind of stuff because they like to go to fires, but I mean, that's kind of nasty. It's a kind of a bad thought for, thinking about people having their bad day. But my guys like to go to fires. And it's just unfortunate for you when they do. Yes, ma'am.
I work for Rotary on the senior living, and I can tell you that the response for you guys coming to help our residents is great. Not only for our residents that need you, but for the residents who really like to look at your guys.
I get that every time I go to OBs. They want to know, how come you can't send one of your guys over to pick stuff up? It's just.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
So I have a question. So you just said about how you go over and pick up sandwiches for your guys. As far as thank yous that we can do to thank the firefighters, what are your guidelines as far as food donations and stuff? Because I know everything's a little bit different. Like
It is a
Sarah,
little different.
yeah, like it has to be, everything's got to be
Yes,
enclosed.
It used to be that people would deliver stuff, cakes and stuff to the fire station, and I had to shut all that down when COVID started, We don't even allow any visitors to the fire station right now. My guys have to meet in the bay every morning when they do shift change with each other. So the off-going shift can't be in the station at the same time as the oncoming shift. They have to take their temperature out in the bay. Everybody gets temp. They have to fill out a thing saying that they have no symptoms. The battalion chief, when the battalion chief goes to deliver supplies, he puts the supplies in the bay, calls them on the phone and says your supplies are in the bay. So it's just an unfortunate thing. Hopefully we're going to get back to some sense of normalcy at some point in time. But at this point in time, I just say that probably we would, for the most thing that he was going to do something for everybody on duty. And I said, if you're going to do something like that, then maybe coupons for something for pizzas. And that's what we ended up doing was he gave every station some kind of a thing for pizza at Marco's, and they had to go over and pick them up themselves.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's probably the best way to do it if something's going to be done.
About like a public card.
Yeah, that's fine. Those work. But don't feel like you have to do that. I mean, it's their honor. It's
This is what we do.
I know. I get Publix cards every year. My insurance company gives them to me every year, Publix cards, and we use them for, award ceremonies and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
One of the things to support them too is, and I always mess this word up, and when I had it on the guys on the radio, I kept messing it up. Did I say it right?
Yeah, so we do have a benevolent fund.
And they sell t-shirts and they have the best t-shirts.
Right.
Yeah, and Mike Douglas, we make a whole spreadsheet and send over. We get probably 15, 20 every time you guys sell them over there.
Yeah.
That's a good way to help support them too, is by going online and looking to see what they have. They usually have cancer, breast cancer,
shirts every
St.
year.
Patrick's Day shirt.
Yep.
And then too.
And just the last thing, I know I'm probably, my time's probably up. Last thing that I'll talk about real quick is, this comes some people a little wrong, but I'm sure everybody saw the thing that just passed Winchester Ranches. So Winchester Ranches just passed the Sarasota County Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners to develop Winchester Ranches. Some people are not really in favor of that. We will probably end up getting 2 fire stations out of the deal. So basically the way that they look at that is every 5,000 rooftops that they put in a new development requires a firehouse. So I've already been working with the developer. He's going to pay for the firehouse. Fire trucks will be up on us. We've got a super big deal for fire truck right now.
So this thing's called.
About $350,000 a piece. The ladder truck costs $1 million.
Oh,
Ladder trucks are $1 million. We got one ladder truck, they're $1 million. The engines are about 350,000. I was gonna get a second ladder truck and the board thought, I changed my mind at the last and I said, you know what, I'll take 3 new engines instead of building that ladder truck. And so that updated our fleet to, just like that, so.
So if we wanted to fly a Rotary flag one day off that top, that ladder thing, is that?
Bring it over. And I did want to ask you about your thing you did at Veterans Park. You did use non-floating mulch, right? So we don't have to go clear that stuff out of that drain again.
Well, it's not even, it's non-floating, and we are actually not going to be putting the mulch over where it was.
That was quite an ordeal, taking that stuff out of there.
Yeah, so it's,
Those things are about that deep, and they were completely full of dirt and mulch.
yeah, so there's not going to be any mulch where the water will come up
Good.
that high anymore.
That was all because of hurricanes.
Right, but yeah,
So,
there'll be other types of things that won't float.
anything else?
Well, why don't you just touch on that a little bit, how the hurricane season impacts what you guys do?
And this is something that I'm going to be doing an article in the newspaper here before too long, is another issue that we have, because half of our districts in Charlotte County, half in Sarasota, it's difficult to get factual information. So one of the things that I'm going to be pushing moving forward is for people to follow our social media pages, so that we can put out stuff that is pertinent to Englewood, as opposed to getting what Sarasota. One of the problems that they have is, so we have a county-wide policy that says that during a hurricane, as soon as we reach sustained winds of 45 miles an hour, that we take emergency vehicles off the road. We quit running emergency calls, which is a very big thing to happen. The problem is that we're relying on the wind speed from Sarasota County's EOC. So it may not be 45 here when they're getting sustained 45, and they tell us that we're going to shut everything down. I'm not in favor of that. I bought wind speed handheld ones for my battalion chiefs so that they can go out and tell what the wind speed is in Englewood, and we'll decide when we're going to shut down services. They're not going to tell us when we're going to shut down services. So, following our social media, we have Twitter and a Facebook page, and if you follow those and our website, then we're going to be putting out information on those, especially during storms that's pertinent to Englewood. So that's one thing. Yes.
I'm a lead on next door. Do you guys work with next door during the emergency so that we can get those out too?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. So I got here when I started. I walked in the door, and I think within my first week, we were sending units to Miami for Hurricane Dorian. And I was like, really, is this the way it's going to be? So we sent 2 units to Miami for Hurricane Dorian in preparation of the storm. That's something that Englewood had never done before, of sending units someplace else. But my philosophy is, if we go help them, they'll come help us. And so if we ever get hit, when we get hit, and I hate to say that, but when we get hit, and we have to ask for help, I don't want there to even be a hesitation that I get every resource that I ask for. So when we have the ability to go help other people, we're going to do it. And we get paid for it from the federal government also. So it's not taking money out of Englewood. It's just the right thing to do.
Well, Rotary has a district response team set up, and so it's the same thing, we have set within our clubs, and if Naples needs help, we've got free Rotarians right now, they did it during.
That's fantastic.
So same idea.
Yes, sir.
You spoke earlier about the staff shortages and trying to get the personnel you're looking for. And I know it's not a short-term solution. Would you have anything in place with any kind of work help program, or consider that in the future to kind of get young people involved and wanting to have aspirations of joining?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It's a program, and before I got here, they shut it down. I'm not sure why. So I'm going to bring that back. And so what that happens is they have to be fire certified to be a volunteer. That increases our staffing on our trucks, and they have to do so many hours per month. So every hour that they do, then that puts an extra person on our truck. The other thing that we're doing they used to do, and they stopped doing it, is we're gonna offer a high school firefighter program. So I've already been in contact with the principal at Lemon Bay High School, and we're gonna run it through CTC, and they will go half a day of school at Lemon Bay, and then they'll come to our fire academy in the afternoon and do the remainder of the afternoon. And it's set so that when they turn 18 and graduate, all they have to do is go take their state exam, and they're hireable. And so,
That's great.
you know, as a young person coming out of high school that has their EMT certification and their fire certification, and they can start a career, you know, at 18 years old and be eligible to retire at 48. You know?
Now, do the high school students pay for that, or how is that being, the cost being
You know
absorbed?
what? I'm not 100% sure how it's going to be worked out. I think they do have to register through CTC, just as if they were taking auto mechanics. You know, if they were doing auto mechanics half a day, it's the same kind of thing as
Those programs are usually a proration of a shared expense. The school will pay certain expenses, but then they.
So just to keep this in mind, we have a Inglewood Youth Foundation that we give grants out to stuff like that. So if there are some students in there that want to be in the program that do not have the funds, if they have to come up with some stuff, tell them to get in touch with us and we can see.
And they're young man or young lady, either one. Get them in there when they're young, 18, 17, 16 years old like that. They get into this thing and they are hooked for life. That's how it happened to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I went there when I was 13, 14 years old. I used to be waxing fire trucks when I was 13 during the summertime when everybody else was out going swimming and stuff. I was spending my time at the fire station. Once you get them, they're hooked. And once you get them local and they're hooked, then that's a win-win for everybody because they stay here. You know, the problem that all of the departments around here right now are having is when we solicit for new employees, we're getting people from Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, and they come over here and they take up a job and they stay here long enough until Miami gets ready to hire again.
Right.
And so we just invest a whole bunch of money in them on training and they turn around and leave immediately. You get somebody that's from Englewood and you get them hooked, they stay in Englewood, and then you got them for life. You got them for the remainder of their career.
Do you have any female firefighters?
We don't now. We did. She retired. She was the first and only Englewood female, and she made it to retirement. So
Do you have children's toys and things on?
we do. So many of them I can't tell you. I have to take them home to my granddaughter because I got so many of them. We don't. The Moose gives them to us every year. They bring us a bunch of them, and we had some doctor in town that donated stuffed animals that won't even fit your car. They're so big. So yeah, we got a ton of them. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Before you run away, I'm gonna stand over here, but, in appreciation for your presentation today, sharing with us. And we will make a donation to Pony Up Plus in your name, which is one of our main goals. Is to
Terrific. Thank you very much.
We appreciate your time.
There we go.
Thank you.
I can't make the calendar either.
Okay. All right. No pictures of me without my mask on in public. Yeah, I give my guys hell for that.
And I think most of you know that Kevin has also been proposed for membership within our club. So we look forward to having Kevin join us in Rotary. Yay. Okay, before we get to happy dollars and sad dollars, I just wanted to touch again on this, the REAP project that we're doing. They did go down this past weekend and look at, I don't know who went with you.
Me and Carolyn.
Okay, to see them installed. So if you want to give everybody just a little snippet of what that was all about.
So the Siesta Key Association put in, I think they did 20-something wreaths in Palm Island. They had done the day before 85 wreaths. They go in and out in about 10 minutes. It's amazing, actually. I mean, they're just these corrugated type plastic container or little plastic condos is what they call them. And they attach them to the 4 pilings and they have little floats. So they just float up and down and they tie them together. And within at least 6 months, you start already having algae and little oysters forming and everything. So we are really looking forward to it. I'm giving 2 presentations in May at Venice Nokomis Club on the 20th and Venice Sunrise on the 17th. Plus Rotunda might come in and join us as well now. I spoke to Robert. He's really going to try to get Alex to come in.
Wonderful.
So I've got some photos and everything and we'll get some stuff. I'm working on a pamphlet. I gave it to Deb to look at. And and we're going to do it. We're going to try to do 1,000 reefs between South Gulf Cove and Nokomis. That's what our. Yep. Yes, and Janet's already got 2 that she has already sold, but I don't have all the forms ready yet and stuff, so.
Right, and this is also something we're going for grant money for.
Yes,
So,
and how that works is we submit the grant by the end of May. They have until July. Yeah, they're due by the end of May, but the district has until July to approve if they're going to let us do the grant. And then they send it to Rotary International and they have until October. So we can't really start the project until probably late October, November. But we can start.
If I get all the information, July, we'll probably just.
Okay, perfect.
So. I gotta go right with the district.
right,
So this is the district grant that then we're gonna go to Rotary International.
Right, because Rotary International gives us the money.
Right.
We send this called a spending plan. So we take all the grants, we put them in one package, so we get this much money, and then they approve it. As modified.
And then I also did get a response back from Lemon Bay High School for the Marine Club, and they are interested in doing the water qualities. It has to be done every other month. And so they'll take the samples and then they'll go back about every 6 months or every other month. And then we're going to work with Tim Rutledge from the Sarasota Bay Club. He is also a teacher he's the environmental teacher at the Ringling. And we're going to give all that to Moat Marine.
Is there a way you have one of those units, give them the high school to put inside their aqua lab so that people can watch how it works and see it at the school level? Grow that fast.
You would have to have the salt salinity and all that. They do have a miniature one that Phil takes around in his car.
Yeah.
But they would have to
We
design.
could probably get one. I don't know if it would be a working one.
Well, they got the tank. I mean, they got the water.
You
yeah, but it's already.
Nothing growing in the water.
You need tides.
So you have to keep everything alive.
Right.
Yeah.
So all the microscopic oysters and crabs and all that stuff are not in it.
Let's make a tank.
You got it right outside there?
Yeah, you got it at the
Put
docks.
it on the dock.
Yeah.
They'll go every other month and check all the.
Well, what did they say about once it grows and it gets all filled up? Did they, you got to really clean it out?
No. The only time that it can kill off everything is if we get a really bad red tide. It will kill everything off, but then it will come back.
So you never clean it out?
You never clean it out.
And you can always add more.
Yeah, you can add more.
You know, depending on the size of your dock.
Yeah, most docks can hold 10, he said. Most docks will hold 10.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. He's sending me a lot of
It
videos.
really is neat stuff.
And what happens is as the containers grow, bigger, not the adult fish, but the medium juvenile fish,
The
they
ones that can go
actually,
home.
yeah, stay in the centers of each of the condos. And then they're also working on, because they're working on something for the seawalls, of having a planting bed on the top so they can plant and start growing seagrass so the manatees have something to eat when they come up. So that's what they're working on now.
And that's a big issue, like in South Cove, people are putting in seawalls in they're just ripping the vegetation out.
Yeah.
That's where all the stuff lives.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause we kept ours natural,
Mhm.
and it's fun to go down there in the seagrass and look at all the stuff that's in there.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and people are just ripping them back left and right, so this is help combat that. Go against it.
Yeah, getting a little bit back towards the natural process. All right, so we will move to happy and sad dollars. Anybody happy or sad today? I see some people reaching.
I think.
Happy dollar.
Awesome, yep.
I just got some change. I think I got change. I gave my last to the valet yesterday, but I've got some happy, I think I got a dollar here. Everybody, everything that we did over the weekend between the cleanup and the meal packing and seeing the reefs go in yesterday. It's just been a
Awesome. Anybody else? I'm still looking.
I got no money.
Okay.
I got no money here.
Well, I'm gonna give one for you because we are sadly going to miss you. I know it's a good thing that you are going and following the path that you need to follow, but we will miss you greatly.
This is a step.
I'm sure it is, yes.
We don't leave until the end of next month, but it's my last week at work and kind of my last big month.
Yeah. All right, anybody else? Is everybody good? All right, we do have $10 in the 50-50.
Get the buckets and the tips, and being blazed.
All right, absolutely, Kevin. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. All right, winning number is 1927.
when you're online, you are.
8.
Every time I come in here, oh, I think
All right, thank you, Brenda. She's gonna
Patrick
contribute that
is
towards the
oh,
tip.
marking you off.
So
Just not
as
you.
I think Karen said, or just remember the blue buckets and the tip. And also, if you haven't noticed, on the bottom of my emails, there is a cart fund link where you can go online and make your cart fund donations. Beautiful thing is you can set it up. You can say, I want to donate $1 a month or every quarter or whatever you want to do. So it just takes care of it for you. So if anybody's interested in setting that up, please do so. And on that note, unless somebody else has something else.
You gotta say before we.
I know. Saving that. Brenda, would you like to lead us out with the 4-way test? It's just because we missed you.
All right. 4-way test are the things we think, say, or do. First.
Is it the truth?
Second.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will be beneficial to all concerned. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great afternoon.
Well, the only one on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody's moving in here.
So will you be back to Rotary, dear? No?
Bye, Walt.